Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Hello, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host of Global TV Talk Show, a business unit of globalbusinessnews.net. Go check it out. You'll find a lot of shows and a lot of interesting articles. Our special guest today is Tamara Becker and from Adamo Education. And let me ask you if I said that wrong.
It's Adamo, actually.
Adamo, there we go. And what does Adamo signify or stand for?
So Adamo comes from the Latin word to fall in love with. And Adamo Education is the place where kids learn to love learning.
Oh, isn't that great? So this is online and in person?
Yeah, so my vision really has evolved through the pandemic. I've been in education for 25 years now. I've done traditional brick and mortar. Most recently was the superintendent for the largest online school in the state of Arizona. And I know what good instruction looks like, what it sounds like. And throughout the course of the pandemic, I really started to think about what could we do differently to innovate and revolutionize education and provide a new and exciting option out there for parents and students. So Adamo Education really is taking the best of all of those models, including more of a homeschool type model, and putting it all together. So it's the face-to-face time with the teacher, it's the digital content, and then it's the parent playing an active role in their child's education. So
the phrase micro, what does that mean to you?
So it's a smaller learning environment. Adamo Education utilizes certified teachers. So we have the expertise of the teacher who knows the content, who knows the solid instructional delivery methods. And then we have the digital platform that will help to enhance that. But the micro concept is that we're in a smaller learning environment, no more than maybe anywhere from 8 to 12 students at a time with the teacher. And it's kind of a re-envisioning of the one-room schoolhouse where you're going to have multiple ages and grade levels together in one setting to learn and develop the skill set collaboratively.
I love that idea of the smaller schoolhouse idea. Just pictures all kinds of care.
Yeah, and it's really individualized and highly personalized. If your student is really excelling in math, we're not going to hold them back. It's not that everybody has to be on lesson 1, activity 2, on Tuesday. It's where is your student and how can we develop a really individualized, customized educational plan for them? So it's taking, again, all of those best pieces of education and putting them into one cohesive model.
So this is all classes, all topics, or is it just limited?
No, we're primarily focusing on the core subjects, the reading, writing, math, English, science. But we're also going to incorporate some of the project-based learning activities, which will then be cross-curricular, going across multiple content areas, and be inclusive of what we call specials or electives. So including some of the fine arts and the music, and doing that even through field trips and experiences. The learning doesn't take place in just a classroom. It's outside, it's all around us. It's what do we have in our community that can help us develop our understanding of the world.
And interpersonal stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The social skill development is huge. You're going to really get to know your classmates or your peers in a stronger setting. And as students continue with Adamo from year to year to year, the friendships and the bonds that they will form will be probably unlike anything else that they have experienced in the past. It's going to develop that sense of family. When they're all together.
Age bracket. What's your target?
Working with students in grades K through 8.
K through 8. So that's a big difference, particularly, I would say, well, going back from my own head, I was way different in 8th grade than I was in 7th grade.
Or in kindergarten, yeah. And so we're going to try to group the kids in the lower elementary and then the upper elementary. So as the teacher is setting up this schedule with the parent, maybe the K3 kiddos are going to meet for a couple hours each morning. Maybe they're going to meet for 2.5 days as opposed to 5 days a week. That is, again, where the parent becomes an active role and participant in this, because they're going to help the teacher establish an instructional schedule that meets the needs of their students. And like I said, fully customizable, whether it's 2.5 days, whether it's 3 hours a day, we can work with you, the parent, and the student to set that schedule up. And then also then group students who are in similar ages.
So it's online and in person, or what?
Correct. Yeah, it's again taking more of a hybrid approach, but doing it in a much smaller, more intimate setting, so that students and parents really get a personalized educational experience.
So one of the issues from my other shows, pardon me, I got an itchy eye. One of previous shows, the one I think you've been on too, we talked about parent involvement.
Yeah.
And how in many cases, not all, but many, the online learning during the pandemic, like the kids weren't learning anything or seemingly retaining anything.
Right. Well, to that end, that's why this is not done in isolation. The parent has access to the teacher, the student has access to the teacher. And when you have a solid instructional program, even digital, it lays itself out the proper way and provides the necessary supports for students to learn. At Adamo, students are not going to be on the computer 8 hours a day. When they're face to face with that teacher and their peers, they're engaged in hands-on learning activities and experiments, simulations, and really trying to engage in that learning to develop that love of learning. And I think that's the important piece here. It's not solely online. It's not 8 hours, 6 hours on a computer. In fact, the instructional content for K2 is really written and geared more towards the teacher delivering it versus the student doing it online. And those kiddos will actually have a textbook and a workbook that they can reference. So the activities for the younger kiddos don't need to be done digitally, but that platform is there for students who excel in it, which is, again, the nice blend of all of it.
So does your micro school also involve physical time?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, through those face-to-face times when we're engaged in activities, parks, areas, rec centers, looking to partner with local establishments, boys and girls clubs to continue that activity and that momentum as the students are learning throughout the day.
So what about this idea? And this is a little bit off the wall, and this is not rehearsed out there, viewers, in case you guessed. um, so let's talk about geography. It happens to be my favorite topic. And I think it was because whoever the teacher was when I was real young, they did such a wonderful job, not just telling you to memorize state capitals and rivers and, where the states were, um, but they also had some kind of either a book or a movie that they that had something to do with the Mississippi River and all the states that are impacted by the Mississippi River. Maybe not all, but many of them.
Mhm.
And particular towns like St. Louis or Cincinnati, as it sits in southern Ohio on the Ohio River, very near the Mississippi River, and the convergence of that whole area is fertile ground and the heartland of America with a agriculture heartland, if you will, and
Mhm.
how that impacts people and everything. And it's all because of that river. And it's all because of the geography and the confluence of all this going on in that part of the country. So whatever that teacher did at the time, they brought it all together. And to this day, I'm still remembering all that.
Right, right. Um, I used to do something similar with my fifth graders, and we would conduct a simulation about the the colonists coming over from England. They would figure out what supplies they needed to get on their ships. And then we would have scenarios where, oh no, there was a big storm, you lost one of your ships. Okay, now you're here in America. Well, where are you going to colonize? What are the important facets to establishing a successful colony? How are you going to do that? Where are you going to set up your colony? And so they had to take and process all of the information that we had learned and discussed to set up a successful colony, and make sure that they had the water source to help them farm and develop food and things like that. So those are some of the really exciting things that make learning a lot more fun. And then, like you said, you hold on to it for years and years to come.
Right.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergei Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what happened to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times, there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
So how does this relate to kids who are in need of special service?
Well, as a former SPED director myself, and having a master's in special ed, I definitely know the importance of providing service and support. Adamo is partnering with a large charter network here in the state of Arizona, EdKey Inc. And in partnership with them, we will be able to provide all necessary special education services, 504 services. We'll be able to conduct student study teams to determine if students are struggling and if they need academic intervention. So in partnership with them, we'll be able to continue to provide service to students with IEPs or 504s, which is really unique and again, meant to serve students.
What about computer literacy?
That's all embedded kind of in there, especially for our younger ones. The kiddos today are adept on the phones, right? Or on the tablets.
Right.
Exactly. So those are skills that are embedded in the instruction. It's not let's stop and do a computer course, but it's okay within the context of how do we write a paper? Well, how do we utilize Word? How do we work with Excel in instructing formulas and such. So I think it's innately embedded into what the students will be doing.
Boy, I wish I had that. I'll tell you that. Really, even last year would have been good.
Yeah. And, from the social emotional standpoint, last year was really tough. And that's where we saw the micro schools, or sometimes they're called pandemic pods. That's when we really saw these evolve. However, they've been around because parents needed and wanted to have that socialization with other students, and parents didn't want to do this independently. And in some cases, parents didn't know how to do this independently. So that's why Adamo really does offer something unique in the educational landscape for students and parents. It's giving you that teacher, but it's giving you the socialization. It's giving all of the components of a well-rounded program.
Diversity and inclusion and equity and all that stuff. What are you doing about that?
Well, because things are so customizable in a micro school environment, we can pivot. So there are specific groups here in the state of Arizona that are addressing that equity issue by establishing micropods for specific groups of kids. And I think to be all inclusive, you have to be flexible. So it comes down to what are the needs of the student and parent, and how can we facilitate that? Does it need to be more than the structured 15 to 20 hours? How can we build that into play? And what supports are necessary? So anybody who is working in a micro school concept does need to take equity into account and be cognizant that, without that flexibility, then it really does not meet the needs of all students.
So, how can people get in touch with you?
So you can check out the website at www.adamo education.org, or you can call us at 480-209-2429.
Tamara, what is happening come September? And it's going to be nutsy, right?
Well, Ed, a couple school districts have started on Monday here. So we're already in the swing of it. And what's interesting is there's a lot of people that are still not comfortable going back into a traditional brick and mortar environment. And that's where Arizona really excels. We have such strong school choice here. Parents can make those decisions. There's an elementary school in the state right now that had 1,000 students last year. They have currently started and are only at 400 enrolled students. Those 600 students are someplace and looking for alternate choice. And in the state of Arizona, they have a choice, which is pretty unique.
So who pays for that?
Well, if they go to a free public charter, it's a free public charter. So, if they come to Adamo, as I said, partnering with EdKey, a free public charter, there is no cost associated with this or my program. There are other programs out there. So, and there are some private programs.
Interesting.
It just depends on what the parent feels the best option is for their students.
So what I'm about to say is not political at all, but what about vaccinations?
Well, aren't you touching on a touchy subject, Ed?
Well, it's not political, but I mean, it's human.
It is, but so the governor in the state of Arizona has said that vaccinations are not mandatory. Schools and public schools, charter schools cannot make them mandatory. Masks are not mandatory. What I would say to any parent making the decision is make the decision that's best for you and your student. There is absolutely nothing wrong with wearing a mask if you feel like that's what you need to do. If a parent said to me, hey, I want my child to wear a mask when they're with you, fine. If a parent says I'm vaccinated and I still want to wear a mask, fine. It's what the parent feels is best for the student.
And so as an educator, you will be explaining that. And so the kids feel comfortable and they don't start bullying each other.
Well, yeah, and that's going back to that. I mean, a lot of times in a larger classroom environment, you do see the bullying. When you're in a small micro school, you're establishing that. So we might have, let's say we're going to have some sibling rivalry, but bullying, I don't foresee that because, again, such a small setting. We're all going to be we're going to know each other. We're going to understand how we all function. And so I think there'll be a lot more compassion that's established and developed within the Adamo Micro School program.
Well, thank you for this time. This has been an authentic discussion.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything I want to ask anymore, but if you want to end with a closing statement, I wish you well, and I would like you to come back on our Global TV Talk Show because we want to extend this education series and have regular things. We want to cover the story about what's happening in the schools this point in time.
Absolutely, and I will be super excited to come back and share Adamo's progress and how we're serving students here in Arizona.
Great. Thank you, Tamara, and I wish you well, Adamo, and can't wait to have you back in a month or so. Take care.
Thanks, Ed. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
This is Ed in San Diego, and that's Tamara in Phoenix area. And this is cool. Global TV signing off.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.